Hello again, my fellow Americans and Patriots. The Gun Doctor coming to you again. Today, we're going to be doing a little work on a Smith & Wesson Sigma. This is a fine pistol produced by Smith & Wesson, trying to mimic Glock's polymer frame pistols. They did so well that Glock took them to court and won a lawsuit against them for basically stealing most of their ideas in this pistol. Unlike a Glock, there's a few things that can use some work in this pistol, and the biggest being, we're going to go ahead and do a safety check. It's clear. Being the trigger. It's got about an 8-pound pull, and it's a little slight bit gritty. There it goes. It breaks. We're going to clean that up a lot. We're going to cut that trigger pull in half, and it's not going to cost you a thing. Okay guys, we got to start by disassembling the gun. This is not hard to do on a Sigma. They break down pretty much like a Glock does. I grab right here with my thumb at the back strap, and I use the upper part of my hand to pull the slide back. I'm able to pull these pins down at that point, and all you need to do is pull the trigger. You see the slide comes unlocked off the frame. Go ahead and separate the upper slide assembly away from the frame. Next thing we're going to do, we have a friction pin right back here. It's at the end of, this is what's going to hold your trigger assembly in together in your sear. So we're going to take this, and we're going to, it's tightly in there, but you can just give a little bit of pressure, and it's going to come most of the way out. You'll need a 3/32 punch or a small screwdriver to do it, and some little pliers to finish pulling the pin. Now, what you're going to want to do is remove this whole area right here. To do so, I reach deep inside the mag well from the top, and you feel a little notch on the inside. I probably can't video that. And you're going to pull back on the trigger and pull up, and voila, the whole assembly comes out. No problems. Okay, now we've got this whole assembly out. I'm going to go ahead and take this, just go ahead and pull it, put it aside. You're going to use that putting it back together later. Now, the first step to taking this out, there will be a pin holding this assembly in right here. And right at the bottom, we have what I'd like to call a pigtail spring. This is not important at all for this weapon. So we're going to take this 1/16 punch, and we are going to just give it a little push. Well, here it comes. And there's your pigtail spring. We're going to set that aside. You can keep this spring, we are not going to put back in the gun, but I do say save it. You may want to use it again on a later date. It's not necessary, but for whatever reason, if you change your mind, it'll be there. Now we're able to remove the rest of the assembly. Okay guys, now that we've gotten this bottom pin out and we've got the pigtail ready to come out, it's already out. We're going to pull this out. We're going to set our little plastic carrier inside. Now here's what we're left with. We've got a couple pins that have to be removed. Now this is under tight spring tension. We've got two springs holding this together. So what you want to do, there's a 2-stage pin, and this is going to be the back stage right here, the thinner part, and we're going to remove this, take it out. Make sure you hold tight pressure as you do it. Okay, done. We also have a smaller pin down below it. You're going to take your little 1/16 punch, and you're going to want to remove it as well. Now, you push down on that. Remember, this is under great tension, so you want to hold those springs in place. Use some pliers if you need to. And just like you might expect, it shot the top half off of it pretty quick. No problem. Now we have the springs. I do it this way on purpose. It keeps the springs from shooting across the room, and nobody likes to go chasing across the room for the springs. They'll just come right out. Now me, I only pull this top spring out and I leave the bottom spring right where it's supposed to be. Okay, now I've put the top pin back in to make a hinge, and I've got the small spring sitting in the little dimpled indention on the bottom. This is kind of a tricky part. What we're going to do, it's a difficult technique to kind of master. It's not too bad, but it will prove to be challenging. You got to put enough compression on the spring, and it's going to want to jump out of there to set the second pin. So once again, we're going to rock it back. Make sure that it gets on the dimpled out indention. And you want to be careful to make sure the pins don't try to fall out, which they will. Try. And we're not quite in there yet. Now we're in. Okay. Now I keep this pin ready to go, but we are going to try to cover the spring compression. Okay, we've got this back together. I put the pin back in here at the bottom. This little ejector right there, it's going to, you can place it back in. You're going to line up this hole perfectly so that it's symmetrical and you can see straight through it. And we're ready to drop this back in the gun. What we do here, sometimes it's a little tricky because you got to get it around that, but it's not too terribly bad, and it will go straight down. What you'll see is a good clear hole. Alright guys, we've got our unit back together. Got our connector and our trigger mechanism back. Much easier to pull. Friction pin back in, and we're going to go ahead and put the slide back on, and we're going to do a little function test for it. Just bear with me for just a moment. Okay guys, back here, got the gun completely back together. Weapon's clear. Nothing in the chamber. Now watch this trigger pull and just how easy it is. That's 3.5, at the very most 4 pounds. So we've cut this in half for nothing. Now this gun's going to be a lot more accurate. This is what you're left with. You got your external spring and your pigtail. Put them in a little bag, put them away. You may decide you want them for another use on this on another day. We've now improved this gun, I would say, by 30 to 40%. You will be proud to shoot it after you finish this job. Anyways, I'm the Gun Doctor, and that's how it's done.